Okay, let's start with a big idea. What if the biggest obstacle in your life wasn't actually an obstacle at all, but a target? Today, we are going to dive deep into attitude. It's this incredibly powerful force that, doesn't just color your reality, it pretty much creates it.
So, those words, they were spoken by a young shepherd, David, right before he went up against the giant Goliath. I mean, it's a story most of us have heard, right? But the real takeaway here isn't about slingshots and stones. It's all about perspective.
All right, so let's just paint a picture here. For weeks, you've got this giant, Goliath, just terrorizing everyone. He's daring anyone to fight him. And the villagers, they're absolutely paralyzed with fear. I mean, he seems like this impossible, unbeatable problem. But was he, really? And this right here is the whole point. The villagers looked at Goliath and saw an obstacle so huge you couldn't possibly hit him. But David, he looks at the exact same giant and sees a target so big he couldn't possibly miss. See that? Same giant, totally different perception. And that one little shift in how they saw things, well, it changed absolutely everything.
Look, this isn't just some old story from thousands of years ago. This exact same thing plays out in our own lives every single day. The giants that we face, a setback at work, a personal challenge, some unexpected problem that pops up. They are all just waiting for us to decide how we're going to see them.
And this really shows you the two different paths you can take, right? For one person, a project that fails is a total dead end. It's a stumbling block. But for someone else, that same failure is a lesson. It's a stepping stone to the next try, which is going to be even better. The only thing that's different, their attitude. That's what decides if we're looking at a wall or if we're looking at a ladder.
So, okay, this all leads to a really big question. If our attitude has this much power, where does it actually come from? Are we just born with it, or is it something that gets built up over time?
Seriously, just think about it for a second. What are the things, the forces, that have shaped your default way of looking at the world? Because, and this is what's so interesting, it's not just random, there's a structure to it.
In fact, it turns out our attitude is pretty much built on a foundation of three main things. And if you can understand these three factors, you're well on your way to understanding yourself.
And here they are. We call them the triple E's of attitude: environment, experience, and education. Think of them like three pillars that work together to build the lens you see the world through. So, let's break them down one by one, starting with that first E.
All right, first up is environment. This is basically the world we soak in every single day. It's the culture we absorb, a lot of the time without even realizing it's happening. And believe me, its influence is absolutely massive.
And when we say environment, we're talking about something super broad here. It's everything. It's your life at home, it's school and peer pressure, it's the culture at your job. It's even the media you consume, your cultural background, the whole social and political climate. All of these things are like little inputs, constantly shaping your outlook.
Let's make this super practical. Imagine you walk into a store and everyone's friendly, helpful, it's a positive environment, right? Now imagine walking into another one where everyone is just rude, a totally negative vibe. Here's the kicker. A really good performer will actually start to struggle in that negative culture, but even a so-so performer can start to thrive in a positive one. Our surroundings can literally lift us up or pull us down.
And this is a really, really key point. When it comes to culture, whether we're talking about a company, a family, or even a whole country, it always flows from the top down, always. The attitude of the leadership sets the tone for everyone else. It doesn't bubble up from the bottom, it rains down from the top.
Okay, but environment is just the first piece of the puzzle. Layered right on top of that are the direct lessons we learn. And these come from the other two E's, our personal experience and our education. So let's talk about experience. This one's pretty straightforward, right? You have a positive interaction with someone, you develop a positive attitude. You have a negative one, and your perspective can sour almost instantly. Every single one of those encounters, good or bad, becomes another brick in the wall of our beliefs about the world.
And then we have education. And listen, we are not just talking about diplomas and degrees here. This is a much, much bigger idea. See, real education doesn't just teach you how to make a living. It teaches you how to live. It's that whole process of taking knowledge and actually applying it in a smart way until it becomes real wisdom.
And that is exactly why the role of a teacher, and that could be a parent, a mentor, anyone, is so incredibly important. The wisdom they pass on creates this ripple effect that you can't even measure. It can literally shape attitudes for generations to come. I mean, that is a truly profound impact.
So, there you have it. Environment, experience, and education. Now, understanding those three things is the first step, for sure. But the second step, and this is arguably the more important one, is realizing the part that we play in all of this.
You know, we can't just neatly separate our work self from our